Hey y'all, welcome back to Chattin with Coach Amy. Today I have one of my, are you a group turned one-on-one? Is that what you are?
No, actually, I'm just a one-on-one turned group.
There we go. Client, Rebeca. And I'm so thrilled that she agreed to this interview. We talked about, I told her one day, I said, I really wanted you to be on my podcast. And she's like, I'm going to think about that. And I'm like, okay. And she's like number one over here on my list. Right there. I kept it. And the other day she said, I think I'll do it now. And I'm like, oh, good. Can you do it for like next week? And she was like, oh yeah, let me think about it. So we're here. And Rebeca, just tell us a little bit about your family and then we'll get into your THM journey.
Yeah. So I am 40 years old. I have been married to my husband we celebrate 15 years this summer. We have 5 kids. My oldest is 13, a girl. And then I have a boy who's 11, boy who's 9, girl who's 7, and then a little boy who's 4.
I love it. I
grew up in Wisconsin and I moved down to South Florida in 2004. So I've been down here ever since.
That's a long time.
It has been a long time.
We have a lot in common, the 5 kids and the age. And a lot of other things that we know. So did you work before staying home with your children? I know they go to school, but I'm sure you stayed home with them as they were babies. Did you work before that?
Yeah. So actually I was a 2nd grade teacher, second and K4. I did those 2 grades. And I always subbed and I worked in the classroom. And then I got my position, my great 2nd grade position. I just was so excited. And then like 3 months later, I walked into my headmaster's office and I said, I'm so sorry, I'm pregnant and I want to stay home. So I was really teaching in my class for 1 full year and then I resigned. So
wow. Yeah. And you've been mama ever since.
I have been. Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that. So is there anything else cool about you that you think we ought to know?
Oh, cool.
I know something. It's not really about you, but it's one of the first things she showed me. She was like, I want to take you outside because with my one-on-ones, we Zoom. She goes, I'm going to take you outside. And she has this massive, beautiful, that I'm super jealous of, mango tree in her backyard. You probably have more than one, but I don't want to talk about it. And that really, I was like, oh, can I come to your house and have some mango? She's like, yes.
Yeah, you can take them all. I don't like them at all.
That's so funny.
I don't know. It tastes like a pine tree to me. So
really?
Yes. I just can't. I've tried so many times. I can't.
Like not just yours, other ones too.
Every single one. No. And actually mine is really delicious. Like everybody who I give them to, they're the best. They're the sweetest. They taste so delicious, juicy. I know. So if I don't like mine, I won't like any of them. So
okay. Well, that's my favorite.
I have tried though.
That's my favorite thing that you shared with me. Like that was very sweet and special to me. Even though you don't like them, it's okay. More for me. That's fine.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
So, anything cool? Nope. I was a nanny for a family. That's why I moved to Florida.
I was too. I did that. They had 5 kids. I can still rattle off their ages and names.
Yes, that's so great. We have more in common, I think, than we think.
I wasn't a teacher though. Well, I homeschooled. They don't count. That's not the same thing. No, it's not.
So that's what brought me to Florida. And they had 6 kids, which was my first introduction to a larger family. I have 3 brothers and myself. So I loved it. It was it was just very, very fun, very full of life. And that was just such a great introduction, past my growing up years, so I loved that. And so that was like when I met my husband at church, when I moved here, I was like, I want to tell you, I want a lot of kids just because I'm nanny for a lot of kids. And it's really fun. So I'm very blessed.
Was he like, okay, girl, because I like you. It's fine. Whatever you want. Is that what he did?
Well, he came from a family of 3. There's only 3 of them. And so anything larger than that was, a big family. And so I don't know, we've always just been grateful for what God gave us with our children. So Wes
Gaskin and I wake up almost every day and we're like, we have 5 kids. It's And when they're all together, which it's when I say that, I mean like in the same room, or we're all like 7 of us, like, you know what I mean? Like condensed in our house. Cause a lot of times we're all over the place. It's just, we just look at each other and we know we're thinking, oh my stars, we have 5 kids. That's what we're thinking to each other. It's so funny.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. It's so, and
Absolutely.
our age range is nuts, but it's all good. It's a huge blessing and I'm very grateful for sure. Okay. So how'd you find out about Trim Healthy Mama?
Okay. So I was pregnant with my Sophia, who is now 7. So it was 2015. And one of my best friends said, I have to tell you about a diet that my neighbor is doing. She eats bread and butter and the weight is melting off.
I love that. That
And
is amazing.
I was like, well, sign me up, because I want to eat bread and butter and I want the weight to melt off. It makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So that was my introduction, and I was pregnant. And I jumped on board kind of right away. It was back when they had their thick book, and I would, there was no sweeteners really there, but you would try to make the muffin in a mug. And of course, that was my first introduction to anything stevia ish, and so it wasn't my favorite, but I just kind of kept doing it. And with all my pregnancies, I had always gained like 60 pounds, just, I think just not knowing how to eat.
Yeah.
And with Sophia, I gained 30. So when I had that difference, I was like, this works. And again, I didn't really know what the plan was. That was 2015. So it was a lot of S, there wasn't much information for me, just the book really, at that time. So I had a lot of S meals, and but it helped me gain less weight, and I lost the weight quicker, of course, because it was less weight. And so I knew that Trim Healthy worked ever since then. So, So, and then, in 2020 is when I kind of started becoming a little bit more like, we had some family health scares. And so I was always on and off between 2015 to 2020, I had another baby, and I always kept saying, oh, I want to eat Trim Healthy. But, I think it was just, it was never like my lifestyle of choice. And then in 2020, my mom and some family members had some health issues, and they chose to take away sugar. They chose to take away the white flours. And I was like, this is similar to Trim Healthy. And so they kind of were a little bit ahead of me, but they don't do Trim Healthy, but the way that they did it was very similar. And I was like, this works, and they're kind of working through their health issues by food. And so because of that, I was like, food heals, like I really believe this. So
I agree for sure. For sure. That's awesome. I mean, like the conversation that I have with almost everyone that I interview. Well, my friend said, my mom said, my sister, whatever. That's just amazing. It's not, I saw a commercial on TV. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a loved one that shares. And that's the best. That's just the best, I think. Good. So you're being on plan. Do you feel like that? I know you said you had a lot of S with the babies. Did you stay on plan the whole time, or were you kind of up and down on plan, off plan?
Like being pregnant?
Yeah, from when you were pregnant with her up until now, kind of back and forth?
No, absolutely not. I would take months and just get back to normal eating. I didn't really know the plan enough. I didn't really know it worked. In a diet world, it's a quick time, it's not a lifestyle. Those words aren't really used.
Right.
So it was confusing, all this it's a mind change, it's a lifestyle. It's not just a one night get skinny quick, it's a lifestyle. And I keep using that word, but it really is. It's not just a one nighter and you down 20 pounds, and I think that's what our culture portrays.
Absolutely.
Lifestyles as, and then you go back to eating all the junk.
And then you're mad because you gain all the weight back. Well, you aren't changing.
Exactly. So I was back and forth, like, I know Trim Healthy works, or like I would gain so ever many pounds. And then I'd be like, I know that there's a right way. And I loved how the sisters would always say, like, bring it back to the Bible. And like, this is where God designed foods for us. He didn't want to take away the grains and all the fruits from us. Like, they're good for us, And so I always brought that back to my life. Like, this is good for me, So,
Sure.
so I was always back and forth, and it was months of time that I wouldn't even think about Trim Healthy. And then I would maybe start a little bit like January, or, like,
The magic month.
yeah, this September month for me, because my travels are done, and I'm like, okay,
Yep.
let's get over that, like, let's work on it again, and so that's my journey. It was 2021 that I really started like pursuing health.
Right.
So.
Right. Well, I loved how you kept talking about it being a lifestyle. And I mean, there's no other word for it, because that's what it is. Last Christmas, I was shopping at Marshall's with Wes. We'd gone on a date, and one of my acquaintance friend type people, came up to me and was like, girl, you look good, just being so sweet and just encouraging. Are you still doing that skinny mama thing? And I'm like, I am. You've been doing that a long time. And just kind of going, I'm like, yeah. She was like, people don't do stuff like that for that long. How long's it been? And at that point, it was almost 5 years. Now it's almost 6, because that was almost a year ago. But I was like, I know. I said, but it's sustainable. I said, and it's healed my body, and I have no intentions of never being a Trim Healthy mama. And she was just like, well, I am so proud for you. Like that. I mean, she was so sweet, but like you said, our culture, our society is inundated constantly with fad diets. Mm-hmm. And my gracious, I don't even know how long THM's been, 15 years maybe, since they started like in their group, their small group, and grew it. And I've talked to some people, and they're like, I'm one of the originals. And I'm like, that is so cool. I wish I had been an original, but it wasn't my time. But that was so great. I'm so glad that you shared that. So talk about coaching and where that helped you. I know you didn't start with me, and that's totally fine to talk about. How did that help you get it to be sustainable?
So I struggled with coaching in the beginning. So all of 2021, I did group coaching with a fabulous coach. I really did love her, and her curriculum was great. It wasn't her, it was me. I thought hiring a coach was the instant sticker to losing weight. I really did. And it was probably like December of 2021 that I was like, I have to do the work. Like, just because I hired a coach doesn't mean I am going to succeed. Like, they're pushing me, they're encouraging me, and they're doing all the things that I need. This was group coaching too. So it wasn't a one-on-one.
Right.
So in the platform that they had, it was within their capacity, Mm-hmm. And so I had to wrestle with that, to tell you the truth. Like, it was a long, hard understanding that just because I'm dishing out money doesn't mean, I'm going to lose weight. Just like, we pay for a gym membership doesn't mean suddenly we are going to
get muscle. That's right.
Exactly. Or get muscles. We have to put the hard work in,
Yes.
And I think that's something that with having babies, I have relaxed, because as a mama, all I'm doing is just kind of taking care of babies. I move from room to room. I shuffle around behavior, like separate, deal with consequences, deal with behavior, and so yeah, that was really something that I had to just be really mindful of, is that but it took me a while to get there, because I wasn't losing any weight. Yeah. Maybe 5 pounds in the beginning. And then 2022, I said, I have to take my journey and stop focusing on the weight and the numbers, and focus on the health and the benefits, because my whole desire was a number. It really was. And then when I kind of switched that, it became more of benefits and health, and how do I feel, not just a number.
And how do you want to feel? And when did you come to me for one-on-one?
Okay, so I started with you in May 2022.
May 2020. I feel like you've been with me way longer than that, but okay, I'll take your word. There's just some that feels like that. And that's not being negative. That's being super positive. Like, I feel like I've had you forever. Because I don't know, I just know you. So there's that. But I love that you said, just because you hired a coach doesn't mean, because I know a lot of people that think that. And not just about Trim Healthy Mama coaching, like anything, like you said about going to the gym and stuff. You know, you can pay for it all day. And I'll tell my buds that when they come into buds, I'm like, first of all, this is group coaching. This is not one-on-one. I'm teaching you as a group. The second thing is, just because you paid for it doesn't mean you're going to lose 10 pounds like a lot of people do in 6 weeks on my program. A lot do, a lot don't. A lot don't participate. So they're definitely not in general. Some wild hair might do that, but you know, and also not focusing on the scale. That's their first challenge, is to ditch the scale and focus on the plan and trust it and trust me. And I just really feel like putting those things into place sets them up for more success, or more potential for success, than otherwise. And so, man, that was some good stuff. I know that spoke to some women, because they're probably like, oh, she's right. You know, it's so good.
It was a long journey to get there, you know, because I paid a lot of money last year, and I paid a lot of money this year. And it wasn't really until even like this fall that I was like, oh my goodness, what am I doing? It wasn't about the money. It was about just not even achieving goals that I wanted, just because I kept giving into little things that really don't matter. Right. So I'm grateful for your coaching and for the other coaches that I've had, because it's just so much wisdom. But I really learned a lot, mostly with the one-on-ones, simply because it was the tweaking that I needed. Like in the beginning, when we first started, I work out 2 times a week, and you said, I want you to get a fuel pull in before those workouts.
Because of your timing.
Yeah, because of timing. And I never even thought about that. And honestly, it was really hard for me to incorporate them in my in my day, because I just didn't even think about it. Like, I never would think about eating something before working out, because I tried that before and I would always get sick, or, you know, but it was heavy. It was a heavy, like a banana and some toast or something, you know, something that was heavier, you know? So just things like that, that allowed me to see how I can succeed, not just my own plan. And I think I know what I'm doing.
Right. Yeah.
So that's why one-on-one was so good for me. Is so good for me.
Don't leave me yet.
I will.
You know, you do whatever you need. You know, I'm going to tell you that. So do you want to talk more about, since we're here at one-on-one, do you want to talk more about your journey and kind of how you've touched a little bit on how you've grown personally? And if you're willing to share, like, I'm ready for all these people to hear this, because this is absolutely one of the most beautiful things that I've ever experienced. And she's going to cry, y'all. I know she is. We've had a lot of tears together, and I'm giving her a second to compose herself. But I have seen so much growth in this woman, and I probably need to stop because it's probably making it worse. I'm sorry. But I am exceedingly proud of you because of what I have seen you overcome. It is absolutely incredible. And this is one of the main reasons why I wanted you on here, because you have a story to tell and you have lives to change, because you're about to right now. You are. The floor is yours. Take a breath.
Well, thank you. I mean, truly, when you asked me, I said no, because I'm not there yet. But then, like, I think about it, and we're all dealing with something.
Absolutely.
You know, and we all have a story to tell, and we all have a journey that we're on, really, you know, and it's a personal journey. And so we have to just take each day and move forward. So I have been home with my kids for 12 years. This is the first year that my little one is Benny, and he's 4. And this is the first year that he's at school, and I have a little bit of freedom. And the freedom is just 3 hours a day. So it's not like I have.
Oh, but you're probably like, whoa, at there those 3 hours.
I know, it feels like a great day. But I dealt with a lot of mommy guilt of like making my own food and taking time away from like making a breakfast for them. I dealt with not like if I would go for a walk, like going alone was hard for me, because I had to leave my babies, like my husband is great and he's wonderful, but as a mom, we just feel like we're always need to be there.
Yeah.
I dealt with I as of recently, I would take on my kids' emotional pain and like work through it with them, but like I just kept that pain. And so like it was, their pain was my pain, so it was just a lot of mommy stuff that I really dealt with. Yeah. And also another thing that I dealt with was like, if I focus on Trim Healthy and all the principles and all the things, where's my relationship with the Lord come in? Like if I'm listening to all the podcasts and I wake up, thinking about Trim Healthy, what am I going to eat? What am I going to put into my mouth? How am I going to exercise? Where does my relationship with the Lord fit in? And then I would go to sleep scrolling the Trim Healthy pages. What am I going to cook tomorrow? What looks good? And so I struggled with a lot of like balancing my kids, balancing my husband, balancing my family, balancing their emotions, balancing my relationship with the Lord. And I honestly felt alone because I didn't know who to give it to. And so honestly, the only thing that helped me or that I was able to work through it was the study that you brought up. I forget what it's called. Please help me.
The Satisfied Workbook.
The Satisfied Workbook. And in it, they just speak so much about just giving it to God and like releasing, forgive me, but just releasing all of that, because we're not meant to carry these weights alone. And like my kids' emotional pain, like I would just take it and then like get so frustrated that other kids do things that are mean, and we're trying to teach our kids a certain value and to be kind and to love like Jesus. And I would take that pain and honestly, just who cares about Trim Healthy? Just eat whatever, because I feel good, or I would never like take time alone, because I just felt I needed to be there for my kids. If someone had an emotional breakdown, I needed to be there. I was always right there, like just like that hovering mama, but not knowing that I was even hovering,
Right.
It's just mommy guilt. I joined a gym and I felt bad for leaving my baby in the kids' room, and it's all those things that as a mom, we just feel like we're not meant to take care of ourselves. We're meant to take care of our families. And yes, that is our ministry as a mom. Right. But also it's not who God created me to be. He didn't create me to be empty. And that's what I felt, is I felt so empty because I kept pouring from an empty cup, and you can't pour from an empty cup. So it was just all the balancing of that. Like my relationship with the Lord was important and most important to me. And I kept saying, like, how do I help my kids? How do I grow in the Lord? How do I grow in my relationship with my husband, but yet feed myself well? I can't do it all. And when it was releasing of that, like the giving up to God, that I can't do it, God. I really can't. I can't do it alone.
No.
That like that releasing was just so good for me.
Yeah.
And just giving it to the Lord and saying, I can't do it alone, but I can only do it with your strength. And this isn't just food, it's life.
Yeah.
It's everything in life.
It is everything.
And so like through the releasing, and of course I'm still releasing,
Yeah.
we're always releasing.
I was about to say it's not a one and done, just like the one night blaze the 20 pounds thing. I mean, it is constant because there's always going to be things that come up that you need to work through.
Yeah.
And your kids are going to get older, believe me, those teenage years, less Erica, but you're still going to be dealing with things, but you have so many tools in your tool belt now. Yeah, you're probably going to mess up because you're not perfect, but you're prepared,
Yeah. And I find that strength in the Lord. It's not just my own strength, and not that I had, but just it's a different realization that my strength does not come from me alone. And it was it was freeing to know that. It was freeing to grow. And, as a 40-year-old, you're kind of like, how do I grow? And
Yeah.
you really do. And we're constantly growing and we're constantly being stretched. And, that was something that I just really, really always felt is just keep giving it to the Lord, because I cannot keep this inside me. I can't keep everybody's weight.
No, you cannot.
Because
it's not yours to hold. It's not. And oh my goodness, that's so good. That's so good.
Yeah. So it's not just weight that I've been releasing. It's been a lot of pain. It's been a lot of trying to keep everybody's things together, and
I just read an article about there's this Instagram account, and it may be something else, but I know it's an Instagram account called Her View from Home, and they share different stories that they find. I don't know all the details, but it was moms, you don't have to make sure everyone's holiday is magical. Like it's not your responsibility for all of them to be happy, because you and I, with having 5 children, there's somebody's gonna have their drawers in a wad.
Oh goodness.
They just are. They can't help it. And I do fall into that trap sometimes, but I feel like having that perspective shift in my life has helped take that pressure off of me some. And I see that coming for you. And I know you've experienced that, for the holidays, with the holidays coming up and Christmas and everything, it gets really intense sometimes. And so I love that you have this new outlook.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be such a more sweet experience, I think, this season for you.
And I've learned to just enjoy the simple moments. And I was always there. I wasn't, absent as a mom,
sure.
Of course, but just enjoy. It's more enjoyable because I've said this and I say it very lightly, but Trim Healthy has become easier because I've slowly started to let these things go. I'm not consumed with all the, okay, well, who's baking what and where am I, where am I getting this recipe from? And, oh, shoot, I wanted that really great recipe, and that, whatever it is, we consume ourselves as so much of what everyone else is doing. And once I released all of that, it was like, okay, if I just make the overnights every week, the kids like it, So yeah, I can't keep getting into a constant thing
the
of
FOMO, the fear of missing out thing is very true.
Yeah, someone's doing something better. Well, guess what? We need to just live our life the way God intended me to live my life, and I just have to be at peace with that.
Yeah, because that is not, it's not producing fruit in your life. If it's stressing you out and it's not being life-giving, there's no point in it. We have to let that go. Oh man, that's good.
So yeah, I've cried so many times with you on
and that's okay. That is okay. She's like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, no, you're not. It's fine. We're working through stuff.
Yeah, and working through has just been the freest thing. So that's why I really encourage one-on-ones, because it allows you to work through that stuff. So, or a buddy, anybody who listens. I don't have that buddy down here, so.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. So good. Is there anything else you wanted to say about that? I'm sorry I interrupted a few times.
No, thank you. Well, through this and learning about myself, there's been some blessings that I've seen. And I always felt that. So I love singing, and I've always sang my entire life. I think that's one thing maybe you didn't know about me.
I didn't know that. I'm not a good singer. We do not have that in common. You can have that one, okay?
So I love singing, and my weight has always been like a breaker for me. Like
Really?
like I will not go and sing because no one wants to look at that, and
Wow.
I was never awful, but it's just, that was the words that I would tell myself, So, after I lost, I'm not sure if I said this earlier, but January, February, March of 2022, I actually lost 30 pounds really quick on Trim Healthy. I was really, really strict, really, really dedicated to the plan. And I said, all right, that's it. I got to stop letting like the fear of my looks offend somebody. Not that I was offensive, but everybody has something to say about something,
I know.
And so, and I live in fancy Boca Raton, Florida. So, so it's a little scary sometimes, but I kept getting people saying, Rebecca, why aren't you singing in front of church? Why aren't you helping do that? Like, and I'd be like, oh, I don't want to, or it's not my ministry right now. My ministry is my family. And I kept going behind the wall of my family and the wall of my weight, and so when I lost the weight, I was like really grateful that I was able to kind of release that. And I went through the process auditioned, and I was like, so am I on the team? He goes, oh yeah, absolutely, of course. And I'm like, oh, okay. So, but it was,
when did this happen?
This was March.
Okay.
March and maybe April that I did this. So before we started talking, but that was also just something that I just started like giving to the Lord. Like it was a gift that I had been giving, my voice, and I was just not using it for his purpose. I was hiding it. I was holding it in and saying, well, people don't want to see this, and so I've gotten over that too. That's a whole nother thing that I've gotten over is
that's awesome.
Is releasing my fears of what people think of me, because I am a words person to the max. I am what people say. If I hear something negative about myself, I take it, I will mull over it. It just brings this insecurities about myself. And I have, I have just learned to give that to the Lord, and some things that I say every day is that I'm a child of the King. I am precious. I am valuable. And there are things that I teach my daughter too, because, they struggle with these things too. It's all my kids, but it's positive affirmations of who we are in Christ, not what the world says and not what people say, but who we are in Christ. And that's what matters. Some other things that I tell myself is well, there's some things that come from you, Coach Amy. One is you are an overcomer. And that's huge in my life, because it's like, you're right. Like I have overcome lots of battles. Another thing from my trainer that we work with him twice a week, and he says, you can do hard things. You can do hard things. And I tell myself that all the time. I can do hard things. And then the second thing he says is your body can go longer than you think it can. And I'm always like, you're right. Like if I want to stop whatever I'm doing at 20 seconds, I can do 10 more seconds. And then I usually get to the 10 more seconds and I'm like, I can do 10 more seconds, right. So our mind is so much stronger than our bodies. We just have to tell it that.
Access it. Yeah.
So
good.
Anyway. Thank you for letting me share that,
Oh my goodness, you're so welcome. So let's talk about your scale and non-scale progress. Talk about some fun stuff.
Okay, so my scale progress, and I'm going to say 2020 because 2022. 2022 has been my year that I've claimed health. And so my scale has been about 35 pounds. That's been my total scale weight lost. And I'm still going, I'm seeing progress.
Your face has transformed. And really within the last several weeks, from what I've seen, for real. What do you think? Do you think that?
Yeah. And I've noticed that very much. And I think that's always an encouragement for me to keep going.
Oh yeah. For sure.
Because I've always had, just since babies, really just a very round face, and it's just slimmed down.
More, girl. Oh no.
I'm so grateful. And really, it's really just been sticking to the plan and valuing myself through it all. Like if I eat off plan, this is another thing that has been so bad for me, is I would eat off plan and it would be months of that guilt and that well, you can't do that. You're not worth it. You don't deserve that, and so I have fought through that. And so if I eat off plan, I literally say, okay, I ate off plan, but I cannot go into that downfall. I say, you know what? I am valuable. I chose to eat off plan. I chose it, but that doesn't mean I choose to continue to eat off plan. Yeah. So I have to make that choice of just step in the next forward, make the next step and keep going,
Well, and some things that we worked through, she was in crossover land. I'm like, sister friend. And she was going off plan quite frequently. You haven't been off plan in a while, have you?
Well, I did on Saturday, actually. This week.
My stars, just the other day. Okay. But before that, it had been a while.
It had been a while.
Okay.
Yes.
I thought so. Okay.
And
you made a choice though. That's what I want y'all to do. I want you to make a choice ahead of time. Just like this is going to air after Thanksgiving. So we'll talk about Christmas. Just like on Christmas, you might say, I want to have Mama's blah, 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 whatever recipe. And it is definitely off plan. Okay, fine. You go in there, that's what you're going to do, but everything else to the best of your ability, if your choice is to make it on plan, do that.
Yeah.
But stick to it.
Yeah.
Don't just give up.
Yeah.
And don't let it be days, weeks, months before you get back on track. That's crazy talk, because we have worked so hard to get to where we are, and that'll just, I don't know, it'll mess up all things. And it would make me feel like junk, and I wouldn't enjoy a thing.
Well, here's another thing. What really broke me this time was I had a migraine for a week long, and it was the worst migraine that I probably ever had. And I always get them before my period. And I said that's it. I can't keep doing this cycle of off plan, on plan, off plan, on plan for a long time, off plan for 3 days, on plan. It was just constant. And I said, I have to stop this cycle, like the cycle of insanity, Yeah. And so being consistent for over a month, and my period came this month, and I was like, am I pregnant? Because it was before, because I was like,
oh, girl.
I didn't get my migraine. I didn't get all the things, all of the symptoms that I got for life. I would always, and I was like, are we okay, Rebecca? Because I was so worried. But it's just how, when we're consistent with things, and that's why, when I eat off plan, or when I ate off plan this weekend, I said, you got to stop, because otherwise you will go into that land of feeling sick, and you're not even happy with that. And then you can't be a good mom because you're laying in bed with a migraine all day, or days, so that's also part of my journey too. But being on plan is so much more beneficial than off plan.
Amen. That's some good stuff. I agree 1,000,000%. Yes. And I think we're going to have a 2-parter.
Oh no.
Because we haven't even gotten into all the things. Everybody's now falling in love with you, and they want to know everything that you do. So yeah, okay. I have a couple more things I want to talk about on this topic here. And then if you don't mind coming back another time, whenever, you can, no rush, because I know you got a lot going on. Because I would love to talk through what your days look like, grocery stores, food, favorites, recipes, feeding your kids, exercise, all that too. So on the topic of what we just said, with the getting back on plan and then all of that, I wanted to talk through what you and I decided to do, where I would send messages over the weekend to remind you all of that. So can you talk to him about that?
Yeah. So something that I really struggled with was seeing the good in the clouds, in the grayness. And one thing that we talked about one day was, what are you thankful for? What's something that was good? And sometimes it was, I'm thankful I stayed on plan today. I mean, that was it. Sometimes it was, I'm thankful, my son got baptized. So that was a wonderful thing. I'm thankful, that, my husband did something for me. It could be simple things. It could be about my personal life. It could be about, Trim Healthy, but it was just looking at the good in my life, my daily life. And I think that's also what helped me change my perspective, is just life is not all dreary with my kid.
I know. But that's Satan's weapon against us as moms, because, and I've talked about this in Bloom specifically, he's going after moms because we're raising the little warriors for God. So he's going to go after us. And if he can make us anxious, depressed, angry, unhealthy, he's gonna do it. Absolutely. So I started that exercise, if you will, with another client, and I've used it with several others, and it proves itself over and over. And what I get the joy of is seeing your answers. Yeah. And specifically when your son was baptized, I was like, oh, and Wes is like, what? I was like, oh, Rebecca's so he's like, who? I was like, oh, one of my clients, she lives in Florida, she's so awesome, blah, 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 all this stuff. And he's like, oh, good, bless his heart. But and it's so great. And y'all, every now and then someone will thankful for me, or the good was Coach Amy. And it's just like, really? Thank you. That's so much, but it is a beautiful thing to see whenever that perspective can shift, and you can actually, one of my other clients, we call it her sunshine. What was your sunshine today? That's what we use for her. And, it really, really helps. And I think that's something, especially going into this holiday season, is considering that. Yesterday was a difficult day for me. It was a day that my mama passed away a few years ago, and I didn't realize that. I was sitting in church and I was just kind of feeling a little off, and you know what I did in church? Don't tell nobody. Y'all don't tell nobody, okay? But I went to Facebook and I looked up Memo. I just looked up Memo on my post, and I knew that it would come up on my Facebook, like my post, how you can search things for yourself. And it was that day 3 years ago. And I was like, that's what it was. And so Wes and I had a good cry and talked to him about it, and reached out to my papa and all that. And so, just doing things like that, it really just helped me remember the good about her. But I didn't have to be sad and gloomy, because when I get like that, I isolate, and I don't want to isolate on a Sunday when my whole family's here, And so working through that was really good for me.
Right.
And that's because I've used it with y'all. And so I'm using it myself. And it's just now everybody that was hearing this will be able to use it as well.
I've brought it into my family too, where we sit at the table and we're just like, what are you thankful for? What do you love about your family? What do you love about A and B on your left and right? The person on your sides of you.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's brought a different perspective, because there is so much to be like, oh, this happened and that happened, and we had a bad day, and this
getting on my nerves. Yeah.
But we are called to look at the joy and the good in life, and God is a good God. And when we think of only bad, it's hard to see that there's good out there, And
that's all he wants us to see. I read some, oh heavens, I knew I was going to forget his name, Frank Peretti books long time ago. And one of the characters, it was like they had blinders over their eyes, like in a situation. And that's the way it is with us. We can't see the good because we're so focused on the negative and the bad. And so when we're able to focus on that sunshine, like I do with Cindy, or, what good happened today with you, and different things like that, it is just so, so good.
But that was, I think, the thing that changed my perspective also, was just looking at the good. And I was replying every night because I needed that, now it's maybe a little bit more sporadic because I'm maybe telling my husband, or, doing
Absolutely.
with my kids, but it takes a while to change our habits, and just needing that.
That's awesome.
Changing that was just so good for me. So
That's awesome.
Encourage everyone to choose joy, not just on Thanksgiving Day, choose
Right.
the little things that we're thankful for. So
Right. That's right. Oh, I love it. I love it. Anything else on any of that you want to share?
no, I think
That's okay. That's okay. Very good. Well, we'll table this for now. I hope I have Rebecca back soon, maybe in a few weeks or so, maybe January. I don't know. It depends on her schedule and my schedule. We'll have to see how it works out. But thank you so much for sharing your heart. This has been a blessing to talk through this. And I know that so many I know they'll be inspired and motivated to do better for themselves, because these are things that don't get talked about often. And this goes into a lot of ears, and that is a true joy for me. And so thank you so much for agreeing to do this. So much.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm really grateful because I'm not there yet. I'm a work in progress. And again, we just have to see the joy through it. Like I'm constantly fighting the battles that are in my mind, but I know that there's good through it. So I trust the Lord and his plan for me. So thank you for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You want to tell them bye?
Bye.
Bye,
Have a great day.